Hi, my name is Florian from Quality Guru, where I answer your questions and share knowledge about quality management. And today I'm here in an interview with Stephen Collier from the CAQ AG, a German software maker for quality management solutions. And he said he is willing to talk to us about CAQ. What is CAQ? Quality aided, computer aided quality management software. So let's see what he has to share with us. Hi, Stephen, are you there?
I'm there. Hi, Florian. How are you doing?
Great, and you?
Fine. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about a bit of CAQ today.
Many people don't know what CAQ is outside of Germany, but still use CAQ. So could you give us a definition for CAQ and what does your normal customer look like?
Well, CAQ is basically revolves around using computers, using computers and using software systems for any matter that relates to the product quality or the quality of your services you render as a company. And we very quickly then move into the world of standards. I'm sure most of the people watching this will be familiar with the ISO 9001, which is sort of the mothership of quality management, quality assurance standards. And we basically, you could describe our product as you open up the standard, and let's just take the 9001, and you'll have chapters that revolve around topics such as gauge or test equipment management, or qualification and training management, or product quality, risk analysis, maintenance. Or maintenance also is a topic which is touched by quality assurance. And of course, the topics such as audit management. And every chapter that features, every topic that features, we cover with an individual module. So we'll say we've got all your gauges in check. So your gauge calibrations, your gauge management, your gauge monitoring and everything. Where are my gauges? Am I allowed to use them? And so on and so forth. And you're basically guided by the software system so that at the push of the button, whenever, for example, the auditor arrives and says, hello, show me what are you doing with your gauges, you just say, here you go, here's a list, everything in best order, and you can prove everything down to the minutest detail, the entire history, the entire chronology of down to the individual gauge. Now,
And the software would send me a reminder, you need to do your calibration, you need to do your gauge
precisely.
R&R on the
Yeah.
defined cycles, what are required then by the standards.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It will be the MSA measurements, standards analysis, I think it is, and so on and so forth. So the VDA, VDI, all the important frameworks that flow into it are all integrated in the software, so that you always can assure that you are working compliant with your individual industry standards, not just the
Mhm.
9001, because to move on a bit, of course, probably people watching will be coming from completely different lines of industries and we're more familiar, maybe, apart from the 9001, with the IATF 16949. If you're automotive, the ISO 13485. If you're medical technology, IFS, International Featured Standard Food, for example, and foodstuffs, or the EN 9100 for aerospace, and all those bits and pieces we bring together. And just to start with, of course, the example, it was only an example, we have a total of 16 individual software modules that actually cover individually 16 different quality management topics. The beauty then lies in the fact that it is one software, essentially, and every module communicates with one another. So you've got all your gauges sorted, but the gauges sorted are fine, but you need people who are actually handling them on a daily basis. So you basically seamlessly move on to the topic of trainings and qualification management. You've got this beautifully calibrated, maintained gauge. It's available for inspection. Is the employee actually allowed to use it? So, and then you have the training management. So it then communicates with that. And this communication line then goes through and then connects the various elements of our software and indeed of quality management, quality assurance.
Great. So what does your normal customer look like? Are those small companies, medium-sized enterprises, big enterprises? And how do their needs vary throughout the different industries? You mentioned already the automotive industry, you mentioned the medical industry, the aviation, the food. Do they all have the same needs? And do you cater the same way? Or do you have specific offers for each of them?
It's a very good question, Florian. Yes, because our customers indeed do range from small companies that maybe create basic plastic injection molding parts, all the way up to two of the five largest automotive tier one suppliers in the world. We're actually pretty much, as far as I know, involved in every line of industry. So services, consumer goods, automotive, aerospace, medical technology, pharmaceuticals, foodstuffs, chemicals, well, you name it really. And all different shapes and size of company. So you've got a small company, they just, for example, maybe I'll just pick up on the examples, a smallish company, maybe they only need to take care of their gauges. So they just use the gauge management module, and that means that anything equipment in their company is, you can put a big digital tick on that one. But then you have other companies and they say, okay, well, look, we've got production facilities all around the planet. Mexico, for example, or we've got Mexico, Canada, France, Japan, China, and 170,000 employees. And they all need to work with the system. They all need to know what are the current documents, for example. Another interesting point which actually runs through the topic of quality management and of management in general, like a red thread goes through it. And you get people on board. So for the larger companies, and of course we also have web applications, which means you can have documents sent, approved in the whole document control process, and then ensure that the correct document is actually available for everyone who needs to see it. And you can also ensure that everyone confirms it. Same with trainings. You can ensure then that everyone in all your facilities which training he requires actually receives it, and everything's documented. And that, of course, is documenting quality is another important factor, as in all industries, as you mentioned initially, that every industry has its slightly different requirements. And anyone who's heard of the FDA and its 21 CFR Part 11, and you then realize, wait a minute, the FDA, we're actually talking about a federal agency. When they come, they mean business. So to be able to actually, at the push of the button, tell the FDA inspector, hey, look, I really, look, you can see everything, I'm clean. We did everything. I can document every single step around, from the incoming goods inspection to the gauge that was used for inspecting it, to prove I've done the risk analysis that was required, all the way to the outgoing goods inspection, both the final product, and all the way then to non-conformity or complaints management later on. I can provide you with every information you require at the push of a button. That gives customers also then a great deal of safety. And also the other point then being that many of our customers realize the sheer importance of quality, because in order to be the best, you really do need the best quality. You could be the cheapest or you could be the most affordable and all that, but if you want to be the best, you really do need the best quality. And the more focus your company and your corporate leadership puts on the topic of quality assurance and quality management, and the more it decides to go with the times and not just do it with pen and paper or to do it with an Excel spreadsheet, but to actually use a full-on computer software solution for the topic, that's why our customers are market leaders in their individual line of industry. And a lot of them you'll have heard of. You see the TV adverts for their products. You buy their champagne, their water. You know the names. You use their tires, for example. Half your car's built out of their parts, for example. But then also we have the other customers you don't know, but the people in the individual industries know. So the OEMs will know exactly, oh, that's that company he runs that system. We've never had any trouble with his quality. So it runs all the way down, to pick up the automotive example again, basically from OEM to tier 1, 2, 3, you name it. And they're all customers then. Yeah.
Yes. So it's basically an infrastructure which is connecting my whole value chain, which gives me full traceability of the specific aspects. And you also mentioned there's a legal component to it, because if I have to prove something, then I can use the system to protect myself, because I have all the data stored there. And in case of a audit from any external authority, I could also use this data then to
so audit management. Exactly. Audit management, for example, is another big one of our big modules. And that's, of course, you want to get prepared for audits, and you want to conduct your internal audits and layered process audits in automotive, for example. And it's another module that we have, and that is out of the box. Regardless of what line of industry you operate in, you will have the catalog based on the standard that applies to your industry. So, in one moment you'll be talking about the IATF and 16949 in automotive, and the next we were talking about HACCP, hazard analysis and critical control points for foodstuffs, or GXP, GMP, and pharmaceuticals and chemical industry, and so on and so forth. And risk analysis. Of course, risk analysis, we understand, obviously, one of the driving motors behind it is FMEA, failure mode and effects analysis. That's what automotive brought forward, but then the medical technology talks about the ISO 14791, I believe, 14791, and has different elements to it. The base idea of conducting risk analysis and why am I doing it is the same, but the minute differences that are there, and obviously the HACCP for food stuff, it's a bit of a case of same, but different, but the differences are what your industry wants from you. And the idea of compliance.
Yeah, each industry puts a specific focus on their core topics, right? What they have to ensure in their service or product. So now that you are 14 years in the industry, what has changed over the last years? What did you expect are the driving forces now, looking into what will be the role of CAQ in 10 or 20 years then?
Well, put it this way, fortunately for us, digitalization is unstoppable. And with digitalization comes a true idea of information, digital information. To take the example of document management, for example. A scanned PDF document, some people might think is oh, that's digital, isn't it? No, it's not. I mean, you need to be able to access it. It needs to be machine readable. And often it's quite surprising how often we do still collect people at the point of pen and paper. We are really noticing a very, very, very great demand coming from everywhere for our software solutions, and have over the last since I've been here anyway, the last 10, 15 years, really noticed that. It just gets more and more, and the systems are getting bigger and bigger, and things really boil down to not just sort of simply can the software do an Ishikawa diagram for complaint management or 8D reports, or can you do the latest FMEA in accordance with the AIG or something like that. Things are boiling down a lot more to the actual framework technology and the idea really of what is referred to as the fourth industrial revolution, or the Internet of Things, and the systems communicating with each other. And so that the concept of system connectability is becoming more and more and more and more important. And obviously the larger the companies, the more systems you have, the more they need to be able to communicate with another. So the actual infrastructure, one of the words that buzzwords would be open API, for example, which is an interface technology, which is like a lingua franca, basically, for computer software systems to communicate with another. So that then really is the big developments of the ones you're not seeing is what's happening in the background with intelligent software solutions. And one of the things that's not changing, though, and I think that a lot of people, when they think of digitalization and fourth industrial revolution and so on and so forth, is that it'll make people obsolete. But to make things quite clear, any software solution is a tool, and a tool only functions as well or as good as it can, depending on who is actually wielding this tool. And that's not going to change anytime soon. A lot of, talk about artificial intelligence and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, it's happening. And the thing is, we are always paying attention to what is going on very early on. For example, augmented reality as technology, and playing with the idea and experimenting. Got a Microsoft HoloLens quite early on to just sort of see, hey, how can we use this maybe for inspection data acquisition at shop floor level? Could we maybe give someone these glasses and they give him the inspection instruction exactly in real time when he's supposed to do it, how he's supposed to do it, with immediate feedback to the system? So we were looking at that and still monitoring it. So one of our jobs also is then to monitor technological evolution in total, and immediately put it in context with the world of quality. So, and it's interesting times ahead.
I'm sure it's an interesting journey. When I think back in 2007, I think I had one of my first cell phones, and it was a box like this. So now it has changed so much, and it sure will be changing further on. And now what you say with the digitalization, I assume that also this COVID, how did it affect your company? Was it a driver for CAQ digitalization, or a showstopper?
It was exactly. I think a lot of companies, pretty much, to be honest, at least every company must have noticed the warning bells, the alarm bells going off, that you can't in any way conduct. It doesn't even have to only be the topic of quality, any topic with pen and paper anymore. You just can't. And you can't also conduct your business and expect everyone to always be at the same spot at the same time. You need software, you need communication in order to bring your most valuable asset, which are your employees, into the process. And for a lot of companies, what we noticed is that they actually realized that maybe the game might be a bit tougher for them, because there may be a little bit of a sort of survival of the fittest more. That's sort of maybe slightly depending on the facts. Maybe some people, if you snooze, you lose, basically. And those ones that realized, hey, we're going to really have to get this under control and get moving on our product quality, on our company management processes. They've now realized, hey, we need to do this. And they've now realized, hey, we can't do this alone. We need a tailor-made software solution which covers these elements, which helps us, which advances us, which brings us forward. It doesn't only allow us to fulfill the standards, but to put us ahead of our competition, because things are getting rougher out there, and it's been more of a shake-up, actually. And it didn't come out of the blue. So apart from being a shake-up, it was a massive catalyst for digitalization and for those developments that were underway anyway. And, well, we're just noticing demand coming from all corners of industry, any line of industry. And, of course, yes, some industries more than others. That will, for example, pharmaceuticals, laboratories, anyone who's actually really, involved with, suddenly thrown in and said, okay, you're a little company and you used to make 100. Now the pandemic requires that you need to make 1 million of these things. You can't apply the same quality, simple quality assurance measures or technology. You need to up your game. So there's been a lot of movement there that is increasing. And so it's obviously it's one thing that we believe will be, well, we're actually confident that will continue. It is time, I think, for people to seriously think about CAQ, about finally picking up this concept from the 1960s when someone said, hey, let's do it with computers. Let's do it computer aided, and to finally get round to it. And some industries are ahead of others. I mean, one of the main drivers really was the automotive industry, which of course brings two things together, which is precision and efficiency. No one really quite does it like the automotive, because they then pump out massive numbers of simple engine parts, and they need to be as precise as possible in the cylinder or in valves or something like that. They need to be absolutely precise in high numbers, and they need to be affordable and well priced. So they've been a massive driver for making quality efficient, and there's no more way that is more efficient than software.
Great. Good to hear that there's demand out there, and wish you a lot of success continuing this journey. And when somebody now gets aware of this, you shared a lot of information, and somebody would like to get deeper involved in the matter, or maybe would even like to get in touch with you, what would you recommend?
Well, first of all, www.caq.de. As said, we're a German company, and we actually see that as quite an advantage, considering made in Germany and quality. We are German. Quality is our game. So our website, obviously, www.caq.de. You can send us a mail at info@caq.de. Usually, coming up next month would have been the Control, the world #1 trade fair for quality assurance. Would have been there, and would have loved to welcome you around and have a nice cocktail and talk quality and quality software solutions with you. But obviously, trade fairs are not on the cards this year round, and we do hope they'll come back. But what we do have is as we have now, Florian too, moved things into the digital level, and we do offer webinars once a month, free of charge, which address individual quality management subjects. For example, we talked about gauge management before. That was, unfortunately, was last one, so we missed that one now. Or audit management. We've got an upcoming one now on the topic of inspection data processing, SPC, statistical process control. We have one software solution which we're going to be presenting, and what we have there is also a voice from practice for practice. So someone from one of our customers out of an individual line of industry will be talking about it, and that is, in this case, a company, Höppelmann, does very large German plastics injection molding company. They'll be talking about how they use it in a medical technology context. So that's one that's upcoming. So ISO 13485, GXP. And we have more planned then throughout the year. Qualify.net, for example, one of our modules. We'll be looking at training and qualification management. We'll be looking into risk management, which is with all the AIG changes regarding FMEA will be a topic there, and we're basically going through the individual topics and industries, and we do attract large audiences and do get good feedback. But I think, and if in doubt, just Google CAQ, and hopefully you'll end up with us. It's in the name. So, and we look very much forward to hearing from anyone who's interested, and look forward to assisting you in all matters quality related.
Great. Thank you so much, Stephen. So we're at the end of our interview. Thank you for taking the time and giving us these deep insights and explanations. Thank you very much.
Florian, I'd like to thank you too. Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope I was able to give people a bit of an insight. What does CAQ stand for? What industries do we cater for? What is the benefit of using software? And if anyone's interested, pop by.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Florian.
If you are interested in learning more about CAQ, I will put the link in the description box below, so that you can head over to the website. We as quality professionals, we should know about what CAQ is and how we can apply it in our companies, because if we can use, as described by Stephen, quality solution in an effective way to increase efficiency of our company and robustness of our processes, we can really make a huge contribution to our company, especially in times of digitalization. I hope you find this useful. Leave an opinion or a comment below the video, and I see you in the next one.